That's pretty much, well, not confirmed by the UFC, but confirmed by Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev came out and said, no, that fight's not happening. He's got lots of work to do in the welterweight division. Outside of that, I mean, Michael Chandler's ranked number 13. There's Renato Moicano at 10. There's Dan Hooker at number 8. He wouldn't be a bad stylistic matchup for Conor McGregor, but I think it's going to be like an old school throwback and something big and something that's going to blow people away. Dustin Poirier would do that. I think Jorge Masvidal would do that. And certainly a third fight with Nate Diaz, that would definitely blow the roof off.
He's gonna move it, we did.
You're under arrest. You're under arrest. Stop resisting.
Conor McGregor is the perfect example. Why do you think he's such a big star? You think he's such a big star because he's funny? Yeah, that's part of it. You think he's such a big star because he speaks so well? Absolutely part of it. And you just keep going down the line of all these things that makes him a star. But number one, first and foremost, the reason he is a global superstar and people love this guy is because he's a real fighter. This guy, I'm the guy that makes the phone calls and hears people going, yeah, I'm not going to take that fight, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. Never has Conor McGregor said, Lorenzo and I were standing in his living room. Kid just woke up, got out of bed, he's in his underwear, okay? Doesn't even have time to process what's really going on. Looks us dead in the eye and says, I'm going to take a shower and get dressed and work out. Let me know after I'm done working out who I'm fighting. Doesn't care.
Right.
And that, people feel that, and people notice that, and people...
Okay, fight fans, buckle up, because what started as quiet rumors has now transformed into something absolutely impossible to ignore. We're looking at Conor McGregor, who's currently buried deep in what sources are calling an absolutely brutal training regimen. This is all building toward what could be his biggest comeback yet, potentially on this massive White House card everyone's talking about. But here's what's really catching my attention. Everything about McGregor's approach feels fundamentally different this time around. The endless spectacle, the never-ending distractions, that media madness that used to completely consume every fight buildup, it's nowhere to be found. Instead, we're witnessing a completely focused former two-division champion who seems genuinely committed to rediscovering that devastating, almost mythical power that once made him seem unstoppable. When someone of his caliber decides to compete on a stage as legendary and groundbreaking as the White House, believe me, this won't be about grabbing easy money or reliving past glory. This is going to be his definitive declaration, his opportunity to show the entire world exactly what Conor McGregor looks like when everything clicks perfectly.
Last one, White House is what everybody's talking about. Big card on June 14th. There's going to be 100,000 people across the street.
I'm going to be in there.
Who's more likely to fight on that card, Jon Jones or Conor McGregor?
I'll say Conor McGregor. Listen,
Why?
man, if you're gonna have the biggest fight card of all time, you gotta have the biggest star the UFC has ever seen.
Here's something wild about the McGregor situation. Even a brief social media post that gets deleted can create massive ripples throughout the entire combat sports community. That's precisely what went down recently. The always insightful Michael Bisping recently analyzed McGregor's incredibly brief but absolutely explosive social media message. The Irish sensation clearly stated he'd received a fight offer, had already accepted his opponent's conditions, and was basically just waiting for paperwork to arrive. But then, almost instantly, that tweet completely disappeared from existence. Bisping, drawing from his extensive experience, broke down the situation and said everything pointed to this being legitimate, not just random speculation floating around. He even theorized it might have been posted too early, accidentally revealing major news before official approval came through. If Bisping's reading of the situation proves accurate, then McGregor's massive return might not just be happening, but could actually be much sooner than anyone currently expects.
Conor McGregor, according to his recently deleted tweet, he's back, he's coming, he's on.
I'm coming!
What did he say? He said, I have been offered an opponent and I accept. He said, I've been offered an opponent and I accept, waiting on my contract. Now that tweet recently got deleted as well. One would assume, right, reading between the lines, could be wrong, that he's telling the truth, that he got the offer, they've agreed an opponent, and he was very excited, so he tweeted about something, and then he was like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to say anything yet, or whatever, so he deleted it, okay? And obviously, it's a nice little PR move, it generates some interest for Conor McGregor, and the interest for Conor McGregor, he doesn't need to generate interest, let's be honest, okay?
Let's get real about something here. Michael Bisping put it perfectly when he said, whether you worship the ground McGregor walks on or absolutely despise everything about him, there's one truth that simply cannot be disputed. Conor McGregor remains far and away the most massive attraction in all of mixed martial arts, and honestly, it's not even remotely close. Bisping highlighted the incredible rivalry between McGregor and Nate Diaz to prove his point perfectly. Consider this, each fighter holds one victory over the other. They've delivered two absolutely savage, completely unforgettable battles inside the cage, and both events produced truly mind-blowing numbers that completely destroyed pay-per-view records. That first fight, remember, left absolutely everyone speechless when Diaz, defying every prediction, managed to submit McGregor in what nobody saw coming. The rematch delivered a grinding back-and-forth war where McGregor, having made crucial adjustments between fights, managed to edge out a closely contested decision victory. But trust me, Diaz made him earn every single second of that win through pure punishment. If Nate Diaz is actually serious about all this talk regarding unfinished business and his plans to dominate this current era, then a trilogy fight between these two legends wouldn't just be another big event, it would immediately transform into one of the most colossal, absolutely essential spectacles the UFC could ever dream of creating.
But Nate Diaz, that is correct. Stockton's own, king of the face slap, whatever you want to call him.
I don't give a I don't give a either. I don't give a either.
Nate Diaz, he was never far away from a bit of controversy, okay? He was talking recently, and he said that he's coming back. He's got unfinished business. He's going to take over, that this generation of fighters, they're all crap, and he's going to come in, take over. He's got unfinished work to do.
McGregor 3, I want to fight maybe Dustin Poirier if he's championship pussy, and then maybe Mike Perry. Let's see what happens in the future, though.
And someone said, what about the White House? He's like, oh yeah, that'd be dope too.
Yeah, the White House would be perfect.
You're the man.
Now, we've talked about this many times. Of course, Diaz and McGregor, they are one apiece. Nate Diaz shocked the world. He wasn't
Surprise, mother.
when he choked out Conor McGregor, and of course they fought again. Conor came back. It was another great performance. He dropped him with leg kicks. He dropped him with every left hand that he threw. But it was a war, and Diaz made him work, and Diaz even had Conor running away at one point because he was getting a little bit tired. But the fact of the matter is that those were two of the most watched fights in UFC history, much like all of Conor McGregor's fights, okay? He is by far and large.
Here's where things get really interesting. Bisping pushed his analysis even further, declaring with complete confidence that when this revolutionary White House card actually materializes, and trust me, the excitement is absolutely deafening, he completely expects Conor McGregor to be positioned right at the center of everything, commanding a starring role. Now here's where Bisping gets really bold with his predictions. He personally suggested Jorge Masvidal as his ideal matchup, admitting he'd genuinely prefer to see Gamebred square off against McGregor rather than that long-discussed potential fight with Michael Chandler. But Bisping definitely isn't limiting his thinking, because he absolutely didn't rule out the thrilling possibility of that third clash with Nate Diaz. He emphasized that Diaz, even coming off a break from competition, still brings incredible star power and maintains an almost legendary devoted fan base throughout the MMA world. That magnetic appeal mirrors what we've seen from his equally legendary brother throughout the years. Speaking of family connections, Nick Diaz has recently been dropping some pretty strong hints about his own possible return to active competition, claiming he feels completely rejuvenated and, most importantly, in a dramatically better space both mentally and physically, regardless of how brutal his previous fight against Robbie Lawler looked to observers. Bisping sees massive implications here. If both Diaz brothers are truly healthy, motivated, and genuinely ready to compete, that situation creates an incredible goldmine of potential blockbuster fights, adding multiple exciting layers to what's already building into an absolutely unprecedented event.
But the White House is going down, and Conor McGregor, I think, will be fighting on it, and Jorge Masvidal would be a good matchup, okay? I'd rather watch that than Michael Chandler, respectfully, but Nate Diaz 3? Now, Nate Diaz is still a draw, right? People love Nate Diaz. He has got cult-like status in the mixed martial arts world, just like his brother. And his brother Nick, by the way, he said recently that he's going to come back as well. He said, maybe I was getting it confused, maybe he said this new generation of fighters. He's only 42 years old, he's cleaned up his act, he's been to rehab and stuff like that. Of course, last time we saw him, it wasn't a good look. He was a little bit overweight. I think it was Robbie Lawler that...
Right when you think the White House speculation couldn't possibly get any more intense, UFC icon Daniel Cormier decided to jump into the conversation, addressing what everyone considers the most crucial question surrounding this historic card. Who's actually more likely to compete inside that legendary octagon on such a monumentous occasion? Faced with choosing between current heavyweight king John Bones Jones and the notorious Conor McGregor, Cormier made his choice instantly. He confidently picked McGregor without showing even a moment's doubt about his decision. His logic was remarkably simple and extremely difficult to challenge. Cormier broke it down like this: if the UFC really wants to create the most massive event they've ever attempted to put together, especially something specifically aimed at drawing an absolutely gigantic audience on a date as significant as June 14th, then you absolutely must construct that entire production around the biggest, most captivating superstar the organization has ever produced. According to Daniel Cormier's veteran perspective, that unquestionable superstar remains and has always been Conor McGregor. What this means for all of us fans is that the incredible excitement we're experiencing isn't just wishful thinking, it's the legitimate foundation of a virtually guaranteed, completely unforgettable experience that will exceed expectations on every possible level.
Last one, White House is what everybody's talking about. Big card on June 14th. There's going to be 100,000 people across the street.
I'm going to be in there.
Who's more likely to fight on that card, John Jones or Conor McGregor?
I'll say Conor McGregor. Listen,
Why?
man, if you're gonna have the biggest fight card of all time, you gotta have the biggest star the UFC has ever seen.
When discussion moved toward which additional potential matchup would truly shine on such a historic card, the legendary Henry Cejudo, Triple C himself, responded immediately with complete certainty. He shared his clear preference, strongly favoring a theoretical battle between Tom Aspinall and John Jones over the frequently mentioned Francis Ngannou versus Jones fight, and his justification for this choice is absolutely fascinating. Cejudo emphasizes that this transcends being just another fight. This would represent a truly monumental occasion, particularly because it coincides with America's 250th anniversary celebration. This would symbolize an epic international rivalry, England against the United States, a genuine confrontation featuring an undisputed legendary champion facing off against a powerful dominant champion of today's generation. Cejudo brilliantly presents this potential matchup as a true collision between different eras, a bout with historical significance written into every aspect from the moment both fighters enter the octagon. From his perspective, this wouldn't simply create another exciting headline, it would absolutely become a pivotal, unforgettable moment for mixed martial arts as a whole, influencing storylines for many years ahead.
So Henry, here's the potentials. Alex Pereira, John Jones, White House. Or Dana says, all right, John Jones, Tom Aspinall, White House. Or Dana says, John Jones, Francis Ngannou, White House. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, White House. What's the biggest fight out of these four fights here?
I'd probably say Tom and Jones.
Over Francis and Jones?
Yes. Why? Because it's the 250th birthday of our country, England versus USA.
Looking past just the headline attractions, the respected MMA expert is absolutely electric with anticipation about this possible White House card, and he's imagining battles so explosive they might literally spark before the first punch gets thrown. He's especially fascinated and energized by potential matchups showcasing emerging talents like Ilia Topuria squaring off against the controlling Islam Makhachev. From his professional analysis, these represent the exact type of competitors who generate intense, unmistakable electricity and bring a cutting-edge intensity to every single second they spend inside the octagon. These battles go far beyond technical demonstrations. These become the kinds of fights that make every person in attendance physically move to the edge of their seat, completely absorbed by the raw power on display. The expert sees this as less about perfect technique and more about experiencing pure unfiltered mayhem just waiting to detonate, and he absolutely lights up thinking about the incredible excitement these confrontations would deliver. In his analysis, these represent the genuine competitions that possess the ability to shape the entire evening and keep fans intensely analyzing every strike and grappling exchange long after the venue empties out.
funny.
Islam and Ahmed could be good.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think there'd be too much bad blood between them. I'd want to see like a Tapuria Makhachev on them.
Ooh.
That sounds incredible. They'd need security to keep them apart. Those would be absolutely explosive matchups. Now let's discuss the current undisputed lightweight king, Islam Makhachev, who's broadcasting his goals loud and clear for everyone to witness. He's not simply interested in White House recognition, he demands it, and he wants it immediately. For Islam, this represents much more than just another competition, another championship defense, or another victory added to his outstanding resume. For him, this means a life-changing opportunity to permanently inscribe his legacy into the history books, on a platform so incredible it practically never presents itself again. He's beyond prepared, he's completely concentrated, he's incredibly driven, and you can literally sense his determination emanating from every fiber of his being. Yet despite all his preparation, that one massive question continues looming large, creating endless discussion. Who will actually have what it takes to step forward and face him? With his challenger still completely unknown, the mystery surrounding Makhachev's potential fight is reaching absolutely incredible levels, sending fans into overdrive imagining every conceivable battle scenario. However, one thing remains absolutely undeniable. When Islam Makhachev finally enters that octagon for the White House card, this will go beyond simple fighting. This will be an absolutely earth-moving declaration.
If somebody wants, let's do it. I tell them I will be ready soon. If White House, of course, I want to be in White House because there may be one and only we will make the fighting in White House. I want to be in history. Now I'm already make good money, which one I enough for my family, you know. And now I have everything before it's also not coming in my dream, you know. Now I just ready, you know. I training every day, still hungry, still fighting, still want to be champion.
Offering a somewhat different, more detailed viewpoint on the White House card conversation, we have the consistently thoughtful John Anik. While Anik definitely shares everyone's obvious enthusiasm about seeing Conor McGregor stage his triumphant comeback, he brought up some compelling concerns about specific rumored pairings, especially a possible encounter with Michael Chandler. Anik explained that although such a contest would certainly be spectacular and capture major headlines, generating tremendous buzz, it honestly wouldn't provide the type of significant, substantial meaning within the lightweight landscape that dedicated fans typically demand. He additionally observed that it could potentially take place at a catchweight, which would further reduce its divisional relevance. For John Anik, the genuine excitement, the truly fascinating storyline exists in potential clashes with proven warriors like Nate Diaz, or an emerging threat like Mauricio Ruffy, contests that would authentically challenge McGregor's abilities, force him to his breaking point, and create legitimate, undeniable consequences inside the octagon.
Interesting, Dana White said this week that he thinks the UFC White House event will be the most watched event. And on the surface of it, that seems like a plausible claim. I mean, just sort of, again, given the unusualness of it, could it be that case? Plus, if they're going to be simulcasting on linear television through CBS as well as Paramount Plus, so now you're not behind any kind of a paywall, that certainly could make an enormous difference. I think.
Check out his conditioning there. But looking at the flip side, we also have the consistently analytical Luke Thomas, who delivered an even more ambitious forecast. He's convinced this White House UFC spectacle could very well explode into the single most watched event in the sport's complete history. Thomas stresses that the absolutely unmatched distinctiveness of the location alone, mixed with the already tantalizing suggested matchups, elevates it completely above anything we've previously experienced. Still, he maintains that the genuine, undisputed game-changing factor here involves the groundbreaking broadcasting strategy. Imagine this scenario, with CBS and Paramount Plus simultaneously streaming the complete card. Viewers will gain access without encountering any limiting subscription barriers. This creates the remarkable opportunity to connect with audiences extending dramatically beyond the standard committed UFC following, reaching into mainstream territory that most fight events can only fantasize about achieving. Thomas views this as an exceptionally rare ideal convergence where flawless timing, universal accessibility, and grand entertainment all seamlessly combine, establishing perfect circumstances for truly enormous viewership. When all these components execute flawlessly, he strongly believes this will exceed being just another fight card. This could easily develop into a historic cultural phenomenon that people will enthusiastically debate for years, maybe even generations into the future.
I will just come down to a couple of factors. Number one, for fight fans, I mean, fight fans aren't going to skip it. Fight fans won't even skip, the average, or the hardcore fight fans, I should say, won't even skip, an event at the Apex. But to get the casual fan, I do think that some level of matchmaking will matter here, some level of it, right? I mean, they couldn't just put nobody's on that card and then have it there and it would be the biggest event in UFC history. I don't think that's quite right. However, with the right kind of matchmaking and good luck with the weather and all that kind of stuff, I think it could go.
Luke Thomas then masterfully explains the complex strategy for maximizing the event's audience, clarifying that while the dedicated hardcore fight enthusiasts will absolutely watch regardless of the card composition, the genuine tactical brilliance comes from effectively attracting those vital mainstream viewers. For that objective, he emphasizes, intelligent strategic fight selection isn't just valuable, it becomes absolutely essential. Thomas strongly states that you absolutely cannot expect to fill the entire lineup with completely unknown fighters and somehow magically achieve record-shattering audience numbers. The actual fights themselves, he demands, must feel inherently important. They require storytelling depth, obvious stakes, or fascinating feuds. You must also deliberately consider the unprecedented White House location, the incredible spectacle that setting provides, and even those famously unpredictable variables like possible weather complications, assuming it becomes an outdoor production. Thomas absolutely believes that with exactly the right combination of celebrity power, engaging narratives, and careful preparation, this event contains the remarkable potential to not just work, but to create an absolutely massive impact, permanently marking UFC history. For Thomas, it's exactly this dynamic combination of truly captivating matchups combined with the genuinely unique historic venue that holds the ability to elevate this from simply another fight event into a completely memorable generation-shaping cultural milestone. So that's the complete picture, everyone. The news isn't just circulating, it's reverberating throughout the entire athletic community. The notorious Conor McGregor appears completely committed and prepared for this historic White House card. And with that exciting development brings the single most important, most pressing question, consuming everyone's thoughts: who precisely will possess the bravery and talent to face him inside that iconic octagon? Currently, speculation is spinning like a tornado. Potential opponents are being mentioned faster than a McGregor combination, and while a fight with Michael Chandler keeps generating major discussion for its pure entertainment value, a massive portion of the fan base is genuinely hoping for a contest that will truly, seriously challenge Conor's incredible abilities. We're discussing battle-tested warriors like Nate Diaz, or maybe even a dangerous emerging fighter like Mauricio Ruffy. Will the UFC execute a shocking selection, a dramatic confrontation that completely surprises everyone, creating massive waves throughout the industry? Only the future will definitively reveal how this incredible story develops. But one fact remains absolutely certain: that Octagon is preparing to explode in ways we haven't witnessed in years. So stop waiting around, share your craziest predictions in the comments below, and tell us who you believe will have what it takes to challenge the one and only notorious